So who are you? What's your role? And where do you work?
My name's Dan Mattox. I run engineering at Exostellar.
In terms of the Kubernetes ecosystem, what are 3 emerging Kubernetes tools that you're keeping an eye on?
You know, the one that was most exciting out of the conference was the AI conformance tests that are coming out from CNCF, and seeing where those could be going to really get AI platforms ready in the Kubernetes landscape. You know, separate from that, DRA is super exciting. I think it's a really foundational change to how Kubernetes is operating. And then, everything in the eBPF space for network routing is also super, super exciting to see where that's going.
Yeah, really interesting to see that, Cilium has now overtaken OpenTelemetry as, the second biggest project, most popular project in the CNCF. Now, our podcast guest Dave observed that GPUs are such energy intensive devices that energy was considered from the ground up. NVIDIA DCGM gives pretty good estimates of full card power. What GPU metrics do teams overlook that matter for optimization? And is utilization even the right primary metric anymore?
Largely what we've seen internally, and then from talking to a lot of customers, is that the scarcity and cost of GPUs really drives other metrics to be emerging as super important. And so allocation being, making sure that you have GPUs available and can use them. Activity, meaning that they're actively running workloads and can be used. Talking about utilization from there and just making sure that the resources are being utilized properly. And then on top of that, really your scorecard is your queue wait times and your overall workload lifecycle. How long does it take for it to get scheduled? How long does it take for it to get run? So you can overall just improve the efficiency of your clusters and your jobs, and making sure that your end users and your AI practitioners and your developers really get a high quality experience out of it.
Another guest of ours, Alessandro, thinks you should check the CNCF landscape before building custom tools to stand on the shoulders of giants. How do you approach the build versus buy decision in Kubernetes?
This is a great question. And in my opinion, if it's a part of your core business and it's part of your core responsibilities, building is always the answer, right? That deep knowledge and really understanding how the product and how the platform works is crucial to make sure that you can support your users and support your use cases. If it's not part of your core business, lean on open source, lean on what's in the CNCF community, and see what you can either buy or implement to kind of alleviate that burden on yourself.
Our guest, John McBride, mentioned that dynamic resource allocation coming in Kubernetes 1.32 will help dynamically allocate drivers and resources to nodes without provider-specific plugins. How do you see DRA changing the way we manage specialized hardware like GPUs in Kubernetes?
DRA is really a major shift in the way that GPUs are being managed within Kubernetes, and really making it more of a first-class citizen. A lot of the device plugins before were more of a bolt-on add-on from there, and it required the accelerator providers and the chip manufacturers to do a lot more specialized and customized things. Moving us in the direction of GRA allows us to take more advantage of accelerators overall, our GPUs, smart NICs, things like that. And so it really puts us in a more GPU and AI focused, putting it at the forefront of really getting your work done. And so DRA kind of changes the foundation of how resources get allocated as a whole. And, Exostellar has been working on a DRA plugin since it was in alpha. We're in the early stages of getting that ready, and we're waiting for customers to just be ready to adopt DRA and having pieces to be able to push out on it at the same time.
Kubernetes turned 10 years old last year. What should we expect in the next 10 years?
In the next 10 years, Kubernetes as a platform should become a word that most users forget. It really should become this behind-the-scenes thing that makes your work get done faster, your servers run for longer, your workloads run better, your applications run more effectively, and it really should become a behind-the-scenes action. And so over the next 10 years, I'm really excited to see Kubernetes kind of drift into the background, but still be a very core part of our infrastructure.
What's next for you, Dan?
We are pushing on our AI infrastructure management product. We hit GA this week, so that was a huge milestone for us. Looking forward to expanding the product out further and kind of accelerating beyond that.
And if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
LinkedIn's probably the best way. You can find me at Dan P. Mattox. You can find me on GitHub at exo-dan, or you can email me at danm@exostellar.ai.